Hello, all you bladers. Sorry about this news being late, but you gotta stay in school, so. But yeah, this video is going to be going over the new complete layer picture of the B-185 Vanish Fafnir, coming with the parts of TP and KC. Now, I have seen some names of these parts. TP might be tape, which is highly unlikely. Teleport, I can kind of see because Vanish is kind of going with the whole wizard thing of like Geist, Wizard, Mirage, Vanish. They all have to do with some sort of illusion. And you can quote me if the next Fafnir is Illusion Fafnir. But I can kind of see Teleport as the disc. We don't really know anything about the shape of the disc or driver. The driver, I've seen some people say Kick for KC, which is highly unlikely. Kentucky Fried Chicken, because, you know, KC, KFC. That was just a bad joke. But talking about chicken, this Fafnir is insanely chunky, just like chicken. So, because Fafnir, if you visualize something like Drain, Wizard, Mirage, or even Geist, which was pretty big for a Chose eBay, this Fafnir is way chunkier. So, focusing on the Dynamite Blade, you can obviously see Mirage's details. The dragon heads are a bit, I want to say shorter, but they're wider. The jaw is bigger. It has way more rubber than Mirage, which is nice. And yeah, but see those three little points where they aren't dragon heads? Yeah, those are not white spaces. Well, they are white spaces, but they're not like filled with white rubber. Those are literally white spaces because they have holes in them. So basically, what that's going to do is that it's kind of like shock absorption, where you push the rubber in, and see that little, like, kind of block thingy in the middle? That's kind of going to touch the rubber on the inside of the layer, if I'm not mistaken, and that's going to give Fafnir, like, shock absorption ability, which is cool, but you have to push the rubber pretty far in to make that work, I assume, based on the picture. But, yeah. And because that rubber is not attached to anything in the, like, center area, it could break off after you hit it super hard a couple times with something like Rage. Or, God forbid, if the Longinus, the new Longinus, is even better, which it probably will be because, you know, Longinus has been getting better, except for Brutal, which was a brutal disappointment. But, yeah. And then now moving on to the green piece. I actually forgot what that was called, but it's part of the layer. I think it's part of the blade, but the green on this Fafnir looks pretty nice, I want to say. Now, Fafnir has always had a green disc ever since Geist. Now, the Geist proof frame, it was okay. I don't really like the neon look on Fafnir. Wizard Fafnir's disc, Ratchet, I really like that shade of green, but by far the best shade of green with the middle piece of Fafnir, either the disc or the chassis or the single chassis, was by far 2S. The shade of green on 2S that went with Mirage Fafnir is just super, super, super good. Now this green is obviously part of the layer. It's not going to be transparent because we already have a transparent chip, which is the next part I'm going to talk about. Now the chip, it doesn't really remind me of a Fafnir, because if you think of Fafnir, what is Fafnir? Well, Fafnir is the Nordic dragon of greed, by definition of Greek mythology, or Roman mythology, I don't know. But it's a giant, majestic golden dragon that clutches a green gem in its center, which is exactly what Mirage Fafnir showcased. But this Fafnir, you can kind of see it with one claw barely holding the small green gem in the bottom right, but it mainly focuses on the face of Fafnir. Now, I like the flames, don't get me wrong, I like the flames, but I don't like the chip. I'm perfectly fine with the transparent white because I love the transparent white. It's cool that you get a transparent part on the layer because we usually don't see that. And I personally love transparent parts, but it just doesn't remind me of a Fafnir because it doesn't even show the body of the dragon. It literally just shows a face with a tiny little claw that extends out of its, like, bottom mouth or whatever. I mean, that doesn't make sense. I like the flames, but it doesn't remind me of a Fafnir. So this Fafnir is good and bad. It's good because it's unique. Who doesn't like a chunky Beyblade? I mean, I'm looking at you, Emperor Fornius, aka one of my favorite Beyblades, and Lucifer the End isn't too bad either for a tanky Beyblade. But yeah, I mean, it's also bad though because the rubber could break off, and it doesn't really remind me of a Fafnir. Like, it doesn't have that iconicness of the left spin stamina type we used to know of. Also, I don't want to make this video too long because it's basically just going over news of the layer, but I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. So, Fafnir, as long as I've known it, is basically, it has two abilities. It's a left spin stamina type with rubber on the layer. That's one gimmick. The second gimmick is that any Fafnir owned by Free, who should own Fafnir, not Fumia, although Fumia would be a nice side character, the driver on a Fafnir owned by Free is always a spring-loaded driver, where it's a stamina-type driver, but when it gets pushed down by gravity or by an opponent, it goes crazy on the attack. That was cool in God, even better in Turbo with the upgrades. Fumia/Wizard Fafnir was kind of a disappointment, and Mirage basically went straight back to Drain Fafnir, which I kind of thought was going to be a disappointment, but that was exactly what we needed, because they gave it the 2S chassis, which gave it a new ability. So I think they should have given this Fafnir a new ability. Now, technically, Shock Absorption does count as one new ability, which is nice, and we don't know anything about the maybe Teleport Disc and Kentucky Fried Chicken driver. But yeah, so I don't really know what else to talk about, which is fine. And that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Fafnir. Does it remind you of a Fafnir? Does it not? What do you like about it? What do you not like? And that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this video. Subscribe if you enjoyed. Have fun. Peace out. And don't forget to keep on blading.